Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Bonner here, Overtime Athletes. Quick one for you guys today, but I wanted to give you guys this for you guys who are sprinting, who are jumping, any of you power athletes, baseball, football, basketball, inside the weight room or during your training, to add to your actual warm-up. Now, as you know, I've posted many videos of a complete dynamic warm-up, and what I wanted to do was add on the 2 to 3 things to that warm-up that I've been doing with my athletes, but I've seen them prime and prep them for the workout. And not only that, strengthen them to be able to basically perform a better training session, but also continue to enhance their performance as an athlete. So, as soon as we're done the regular dynamic warm-up, I immediately go from working the foot all the way up to the hips. Some of this I was able to pull from my time when I went down to a seminar with Pete Bomarito. Make sure you check him out. He's one of the best in the business, best in the game. And some of it I pulled from experience and just other coaches that I might pay attention to. But the first one that I start off with, as we've raised the tissue temperature from a dynamic warm-up, the first thing I'll go into then is lower limb system, right? Your base support from your ankle, your foot area. It's often neglected, but I really liked his series across the ankle and basically being able to work that dorsi and plantar flexion. So the first one is going to be heel to toe walks with no momentum, right? So you're not using any momentum, but you're pulling dorsiflexion hard, toe to the top of the shoe, almost like you want to pull it to your shin as hard as you can, stab the ground with your heel, and then roll up as high as you can onto the toe. And I'm creating no momentum as I do this. Each one, I'm consciously flexing the toe as hard as I can and then pushing the toe away as hard as I can, really working across that ankle. Coming back, I'm gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go 10 yards. Coming back, I'm gonna do the same thing with momentum. So it looks very similar, but now I'm creating momentum to kind of give me a little pop into my step. Next one we're gonna do is gonna go heel walk all the way down 10 yards. Again, pull the toe to the top of the shoe as high as you can. You'll feel this little muscle almost start to get sore. That's your anterior tibialis. You really wanna work that, especially when you're in dorsiflexion and you're sprinting. The other thing I like to teach my guys is don't push the hips back and lock the knees. Have the knees slightly bent, because you want to be able to teach basically to be able to bend across this knee joint while keeping and maintaining dorsiflexion. A lot of guys, when they go through that phase in frontside mechanics sprinting, they lose dorsiflexion as they're coming down. They start to point that toe. So you want to start to teach being able to contract in that dorsiflexion while being able to bend across the knee. 10 yards down. Coming back, we're gonna go toe walk. Again, as high as you possibly can. Don't just go through the motions walking on your toes. You wanna flex it as high as you possibly can. Boom, from there, so again, 10 yards down, 10 yards back with momentum, 10 yards down, heel walk, 10 yards back, toe walk. Very simple, should only take you about a minute. From here, we wanna go into our hip activation series. Now in our hip activation series, if you can come over here, what you'll see is I'm gonna get down into all fours. We're gonna go a series of 2 movements, okay? It's a series of movements, but you're gonna do it in 2 styles. One is gonna be with a pause, where you're actively focusing on trying to contract that muscle. The next one is gonna be fluid, where it's a little bit more reflexive, and you're just going through that range of motion, pushing to your edge. So as you can see here, I'm gonna do simple hip activation. I'm gonna come out to the side, but I'm really actively pausing at the top and flexing that hip, the glute, as hard as I can. 3, and then I'm gonna go 3 reflexes. 3. Same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna maintain what I like to tell my athletes is make sure that you're acting, or you're imagining you have a stick running from your belly button into the ground. You don't wanna open that up, right? You wanna disassociate so just the hip is working. So from the top half up, it doesn't move. The next portion, we're gonna bring that leg out toe to the top of the shoe, really cock that ankle. Now you just want to go to your edge as high as you can without rotating out. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Same thing other side. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now same thing in the back. Boom, working that glute. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The one key here that I like to tell my guys is make sure you don't start getting bend in this lumbar spine, right? You want to keep yourself locked in, tabletop. I often tell my guys as a cue, imagine there's a glass of water on your lower back and you don't want to spill it. You're going to do the same thing both sides. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The other problem that I see a lot of guys do here is they like to turn the leg out. You want to keep that heel straight back, toes straight down into the ground. Once we get that down, we're going to go sideline hip activation. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then go inside leg. Remember, toe stays to the top of the shoe. We're maintaining dorsiflexion the entire time. 1, 2, 3. Other side. Finally, we're going to finish on our back. We're going to go 45 degrees at one knee, toe to the top, go to your edge. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, both sides. We're going to finish off with this leg straight, this leg going to go. What you're going to do is you're going to drive the heel and calf of this opposite leg into the ground. So you're going to come here, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, reflexively as fast as you can. Now, once your hips are primed, they're activated, you've turned them on, you're starting to crank it up, I like to finish with banded walks, okay? So I do a real simple thing, and this is where we really start to fatigue them and turn them on. Now, I was having trouble down the side of my TFL, my IT band. I was experiencing some pains when I was jumping, when I was squatting through full range of motion. And instead of me constantly trying to roll it out and beat on this, what I ended up doing was I ended up spending time when I was feeling tight in my hips. I ended up spending time on really focusing on conditioning and turning on, activating my glute medius. And what I noticed from that, a lot of those pains went away. So it's not always so much strengthening, lengthening, tugging on muscles. Sometimes it's about correcting improper imbalances and turning on other muscles that need to be fired up. So I just take a simple band like this. You guys can use ones that you find in the gym. You might have to get creative. And then I go through a progression of monster walks, okay? So I want them to be in an athletic stance, flat back, drop their hips back, and I want them to stay wide. I stay wide by keeping your knees shoulder width or outside shoulder width. The other thing that I teach the guys is make sure that you're not pushing out with your foot and letting your knee still cave in. You want your knee to be over your ankle the entire time that you walk down. Just get a nice athletic stance, toes forward. We're going all the way down 10 yards. Boom, soon as that athlete hits 10 yards, I have them reverse back. As you can see, if I'm walking here, this stays the same width the entire time, and I'm keeping the hips activated the entire time. Once I get done 10 yards, I'll have them go lateral. Things don't change. I tell them, don't let your feet come together. Stay wide, stay short and choppy. Here, boom, and keep the knee over the ankle the entire time so my shins constantly stay vertical. I'll go down 10 yards, boom, take my time, come back, 10 yards, and that's it. Complete hip activation. From the lower limb, through the ankle, through the foot, working the arch, working the ankle, working the entire lower limb, coming up all the way to the hips to really get the hips activated. If you add that to the end of your dynamic warm-up, I'm almost all but guaranteeing a better training session for you, especially if you're sprinting or jumping. Try that out. Hope you guys appreciate that. I'll talk to you guys next time.